Meanwhile, more than 2 million Australians are expected to fly across Australia in December for the first Christmas without COVID restrictions. So is the industry ready? Joining me now live is Graham Turner, the CEO of Flight Centre. Graham, thank you so much for joining us. What can we expect at airports next week?
It's a really good question. I think, I believe that today was one of the busiest days, and there was a bit of chaos, but, things have improved dramatically since we opened up the international borders anyway in February, I think. So, we're pretty confident that it's going to be reasonably smooth. Still, there's a problem with international capacity. We just don't have enough seats to sell out of Australia. As you just heard, Qantas and Virgin are putting more capacity on, so domestic airfares will come back over the next 6 months considerably for domestic travellers, but there's still a bit of a way to go for international travellers.
And we know that this is the first Christmas without the COVID restrictions, as we've seen over the last few years. So how has the industry prepared for this moment?
Look, the airlines have had problems, the airports have had problems, as everyone's aware, and so have we as the travel intermediaries. But we're coming out of this. I think it doesn't matter, whether it's Flight Centres or Hello World or the independent agents. Most people are coping pretty well with it now, and you'll see these Boxing Day sales come up just after Christmas too. So there'll be some great bargains around. But people are travelling at the moment, like internationally. It's mainly a lot of Bali, Fiji, UK, Canada and US, but there's still a lot of domestic travel. I think we've seen those numbers being quite elevated, particularly to some of the Queensland destinations, Sunshine, Gold Coast and that.
And is there anything that travellers should be aware of by way of COVID restrictions in terms of testing or vaccine requirements? Is that still something that we should be thinking about?
Yeah, well, believe it or not, obviously some places that are very popular like Bali and Canada, you still need visas to get to go there. And for example, Bali, you need to be fully vaccinated. So you need to check up, make sure your passport's valid, because there's nothing worse than turning up when your passport's about to run out. Often it needs 6 months validity for some countries. So, there's a few things you should really check on, either through your travel agent or online with the airline or the tour operator. So, but most restrictions have been lifted. If you've got a cold, and I've got a cold at the moment, if you want to check that whether you've got COVID or not, it doesn't really make much difference. It's whether you want to go or not, and it's up to you. You're travelling on an airplane, whether you want to wear a mask or not. And if you are worried, I would suggest wearing a proper mask and wear it properly. So, travelling's almost back to normal.
Yeah, some good advice, though, and little things that perhaps we've forgotten about, given that life has reasonably gone back to normal. Now, Graham, you mentioned Boxing Day sales. Can you give us a bit of a hint of maybe what we might expect?
Well, look, even our organisation's holding it pretty close to their chest, so I can't give you exact fares, but if you're travelling through probably April to August next year, there'll be some great deals out. I know that. And it won't only be us. It'll be some airlines. It'll be some of the other travel agency groups. So it's really worth, keeping a good eye on. It's the same as other retailers in every field. We consider ourselves a retailer, and the Boxing Day sales is where people say, well, okay, we've got excess stock, we've got excess seats, and we'll put them out at a bargain. So I can't give you numbers. I honestly don't know. But there will be some great airfares around. And, everyone's looking for this because fares have been so expensive quite a lot of the time in the last few months.
Well, they have been. And that was going to be my next question. When do you think that airfare prices will start coming down?
Look, I'm a bit of an optimist on this. It is very linked to capacity. And as I said, Qantas and Virgin are bringing capacity back. The problem is that obviously supply is not meeting the demand at the moment, and so the airlines can charge more and can fill their planes up. I'm pretty certain that fares in late January, particularly to Europe, but also domestic, will start being much more realistic. And I think Qantas has just announced LA and San Francisco $12.99 fares next year. This is the sort of thing that's, these really great value fares are going to come back over the next few months. And I think by the middle of next year, if you go peak season, you go at Christmas, you go at the peak European summer, July, August, it's always going to be a bit expensive. But you will see these fares coming off over probably the next 6 weeks. Once we get over Christmas, obviously it's a huge peak period. You will see fares becoming much more realistic. And even things like jet fuel is getting cheaper. So, there's less excuse for the airlines to have really high fares. And I'm pretty confident of that. And you're already seeing some great bargains around now.
Well, good to hear, and fingers crossed we do see a change, as you said, in the next 6 weeks. Graham Turner, thank you so much for coming on and joining us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.